Lithuania has showed the rest of Baltic countries what an economic miracle looks like. Will they hold the champions title in 3 to 5 years? Two economists from Vilnius will be in our virtual studio to talk about it. The second part of the show, we will discuss crypto and AI. First company in Latvia has received the so-called MiCA license from the hands of Central Bank of Latvia. But who should receive a speaker's fee in case when the conference speaker is an AI avatar? We will discuss it with experts who have come across this topic in Tallinn very recently. Stay with us, we will talk. Obviously, we should start with the news from US Federal Reserve, which cut interest rates by 25 basis points this week. The Fed's latest rate cut will give the US economy a short-term boost by lowering borrowing costs for households and businesses, supporting consumption and investment. However, the policy shift also signals concern about slowing growth and uneven inflation progress. Cheaper credit might lift asset prices and risk-taking, while weaker dollar could raise import costs. Overall, the cuts stabilize momentum but highlight growing fragility in the economic outlook. We might witness an important shift in global economy when it comes to China and India. China faces mounting pressure as falling fixed asset investments signals weakening confidence in property, manufacturing, and private enterprise. Policymakers are attempting to stabilize growth, but structural headwinds like demographics, like debt, and subdued domestic demand, they limit momentum. In contrast, India is emerging as a magnet for global capital, securing record FDI commitments and attracting major tech and manufacturing investments, like, for example, $35 billion worth of promise from Amazon. Strong demographics, expanding consumption, and regulatory reforms support sustained growth. While China focuses on preventing further slowdown, India is positioning itself as a long-term growth engine. The global impact will hinge on whether China avoids deeper stagnation and how effectively India converts capital inflows into productivity gains. Global PMI and ICC data point to a world economy that is still expanding but losing momentum, with manufacturing and services growing at a slower pace as demand softens and trade frictions persist. The ICC's latest analysis warns that the structural barriers in global trade, ranging from fragmented regulations to rising protectionism, are constraining supply chains and limiting productivity gains. These trends align with the World Bank's recent decision to lower this year's growth forecast, citing weaker global trade, tighter financing conditions, and persistent geopolitical uncertainty. Together, the indicators signal an economy that remains resilient but increasingly vulnerable, where modest expansion continues, yet downside risks intensify. Estonia's economic sentiment improved in November, reaching its highest level since mid-2022, though still below long-term averages, signaling cautious optimism. Annual inflation rose to about 4.9% with higher food and transport prices. The latest data show modest GDP growth earlier in this year and mixed industrial output. Export and services sectors continue to support activity, but domestic demand remains soft and price pressure persists. In Latvia, economic sentiment also strengthened, reaching its highest level since early 2022, with improvements in industry, services, and retail, though construction and consumer confidence remained pretty weak. Inflation eased to 3.8%, its lowest in 4 months, easing price pressures. GDP growth data for Q3 showed solid expansion. Employment and wages trends were mixed, reflecting cautious optimism amid ongoing cost of living concerns. Lithuania's economy showed a firmer tone in November, with overall sentiment rising and moving above its long-term average. Confidence improved notably in industry, construction, and retail, pointing to a gradual pickup in activity, while services and consumer mood slipped slightly, highlighting uneven momentum. Inflation continued to cool, easing to around 3.8%, which is among the lowest rates of the year and offering some relief to households. Although GDP growth forecasts remain positive, supported by consumption and investment, manufacturing output and exports still face external headwinds, which, by the way, will be explained in my first conversation mix today between Indrė Genytė-Pikčienė, who is the chief economist at Artea Bankas, and Jonė Kalendienė, who is the chief economist at ILTE, the National Development Bank.
Lithuania has a pretty different economic structure. We are still dependent on labor-intensive economic activities such as transport sector, which which input to GDP is really high here in Lithuania as compared to other European economies. We also have strong manufacturing, but it is also labor-intensive. And our goal is to transform. This economic transformation is taking place because if we look back in recent years, more knowledge-intensive and sectors of higher value added were stepping in, and their growth was really strong in recent years. Information technology sector, also finance and insurance sector has been gathering the pace pretty solidly. And this transformation was on a very strong footing. So I believe that Lithuanian further strategies to proceed this way to increase this higher value added share of GDP and to strengthen these economic activities. So the cycle is favorable for that. The interest rate environment will remain supportive. Also, all Europe is changing, is increasing the share of GDP dedicated for defense. And the aim of all of our economies is to create manufacturing which could benefit from that. And this money partly to remain within the economy and to create value added locally.
That's a good plan, I think, and a very good strategy. But do you see that the current labor can be transformed into this new mindset labor, or do you need to look for new people somewhere?
Yeah, talents is always a problem, and especially for such small and open economies like ours. And but I believe that if the local ecosystems of higher value-added companies will be vibrant and strong, that will become an attractive spot for talents. Yeah, locally we have, I believe, strong fundamentals because the recent history of ours was pretty successful in attracting foreign direct investments, in creating strong startup ecosystem and fintech search here in Lithuania. So fundamentals are good, and hopefully we will manage to sustain this further.
Yeah, I wanted to mention the startup ecosystem because you have done very good job in the last 2 years to start it up, and it's seen also here in Latvia and Estonia. These companies are seen and mentioned and so to say, visible. Do you see it is something that can add things to economy or not yet?
Actually, these companies are already contributing to the economy. They are contributing to the whole ecosystem, to the reputation of our capital city Vilnius. So these positive vibes are felt here, and it is really nice to hear that you also hear from other countries about the success of our companies. Let's hope that this strong momentum won't fade out in the future, and we will manage somehow to add fuel to this trend, because Lithuania needs to transform. Lithuania needs to gather the pace in this higher value added niche product creation, innovation segments of the economy.
Given the slowdown in the global economy and rising uncertainty, which I think on all the conferences from all stages, they're saying that, how confident you are that Lithuania can manage and maintain the growth, let's say in the borders of 2.5 to 3% in the following years?
All the forecast actually says that we will be able to, no matter whether it's local or international. For the next year, we have some reform in pension system. So people, as it was in Estonia, people would be allowed to withdraw the money they accumulated on the second pillar. So that is one big source for economic growth, or just GDP growth next year. And 2027 is just so far away. It's just with this amount of uncertainty, I would say we have some forecasting numbers, but it's just too difficult.
It's so far away.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
So for the upcoming year, there is quite clear certainty that yes, we will have a reform. Yes, there will be people, I believe quite lots of people who will just withdraw the money, and yes, they will spend it.
Mm-hmm. So what is your take on this? Because I have talked to economists, including the new Minister of Finance of yours about this. And of course, there are some positive, mainly positive ideas and opinions about the second pension pillar, but banks, they're not very happy. Bank economists, how do you look at that?
Okay, first of all, being part of that government team, you just take their decisions as they are, and then think, okay, what shall we do next, and what are the risks, and how can we manage them? There is no point in criticizing because it's already done.
That's a decision.
Yeah, that's a decision. It's implemented. That's gonna happen no matter you like it or not. Yeah. So probably it's better just to focus on what are the risks and what to do with that. So of course there are risks probably in the longer run, thinking about the fact that we have quite a big income gap, actually one of the biggest probably in European Union, and it is retired people whose income is the lowest, and that's the major reason of that big income gap. And saying that, okay, now we allow people to withdraw the money which we were actually saving for their retirement, says that, okay, we're not solving the problem of low income when you retire. And actually, this is the case of also Estonian reform, that people with lower income are more intended to withdraw the money they accumulated. So, which is already that part of society which is on a higher risk for poverty. So from this point of view, we just really need to think what's going to be next and how we're going to guarantee or to have a system which would allow retired people in the future to have income which would be good enough or quite big enough for them to live a normal life. So that's probably the biggest challenge of this reform.
I wanted to ask about this setback in 2027. Is this something that is widely discussed and debated in Lithuania, in press or media or elsewhere?
Actually, European Commission asks all the economists to plan the fiscal position for the 3 years. So this 3-year outlook is discussed and is being discussed, and actually the slower growth is already taken into consideration regarding the upcoming years after the next year. And that's only natural because of the base effects, because of the possible one-off factor of second pension pillar fund removal, and that will affect the final result of macroeconomic performance in 2027. Moreover, we see the futures of interest rates are bending up already. Not the next year, but the year after. So that also might change and might have effect on the macroeconomic cycle.
Despite all the questions I asked, what is something that worries you personally if you look at Lithuania's economy? So of course you mentioned some points, but probably you have something on your desk that you are looking at and saying, well, this could unfold in not very pleasant way.
Actually, these worries are not related only to Lithuania. These worries are related more to the whole European economy and its performance, because our economy is tightly dependent on the capacity and on the demand from our key exports markets. So if our key exports markets will gather the pace, will become more demanding for our imports, so that will help us and that will add fuel to our exporters. So that's the issue which worries most of Lithuanian economists. Also, I believe that all our countries are really interested in the ambitions to dedicate more funds to defense and deterrence in the European Union, and this also is really important question for all of us. All of our countries increase production capacity to strengthen manufacturing, MilTech, etc. So this the success of this challenge is also on the table and very widely debated. And and this in the medium term, the success of overcoming middle income trap challenge, I believe, is the hot topic not only in Lithuania but in all Central Eastern European economies, because we are still the economies in transformation, and we need to recreate our engine to make it more sustainable in the long run.
How you look at the progress of capital markets in Baltics?
At this point in time, I don't think they are very reliable nor very effective. Yes, there are many public companies, as of course they're probably obliged to list here, and so this is what we have to do. On the other hand, private companies, they have a challenge to attract the capital in the market, not necessarily in the Baltic one, but also in the European one. And this is a huge field to improve. And there are problems from both sides, as typically in the market. There are not enough companies listed, not enough good financial instruments offered, and so there are not enough investors. And what shall we do? And in ILTE, we are making a plan and thinking how could we promote capital market. Maybe it's not about stock listing, but I think we have some initiative to cover some costs for the companies which are preparing for listing of stocks. But bonds market could be way more attractive.
Which is proven this year, actually. Yeah.
Yes. We see good moves. We see real estate companies being very active and actually probably having no problems with bonds. But all the other companies, they don't trust it. Maybe it's a bit too costly. I mean, what is too costly? It's another question. But of course, companies always look for the cheapest alternative, and bonds doesn't maybe seem to be the cheapest one, and it's in the process. It's not clear what shall we do, and so on. We are thinking now about trying to help or ensure that they will be lucky with issuing bonds. So guaranteeing some of the issue that we will maybe buy it or somehow, so that they could be more assured that it's going to be a lucky one. Because if you do all the preparation, you come to the point of time, and so you see, there's not enough investors, so it's not a good case, probably.
I just want to remind you all that the last MedianReport show this year will be on December 26th. It'll feature our traditional Baltic Economists Roundtable discussion, which will sum up this year and have a glimpse into the next one. So if you haven't subscribed, then please do it. You can hear us on Spotify if you prefer, for example, an audio version. But now we will switch to a conversation about whole new economy, which now for many people exists somewhere in the parallel universe. I'm not an exception. Blockchain and crypto world, which does not include currencies, is a mystery to me, but Baltic countries, being part of EU, are following the regulation and can apply their own rules to companies issuing markets in crypto assets regulation, or so-called MiCA licenses. Latvia wanted to be the first among neighboring countries, and it took about a year for the first licensee to be approved. It's Blockben. And here's the conversation with its chairman and of the board, Viktor Bodnár. So, for those who don't know what Blockben is, can you give a short elevator pitch?
Okay, so we've been in the crypto space since early 2018, and basically our core business, our bread and butter is in today's terms, we are issuers. So basically we are issuing cryptocurrencies and virtual assets to companies that want to enter the crypto space for numerous reasons, to various reasons. And we have to create this token. It might be only one single token or might be a whole ecosystem. It varies by client, and we are assisting to bring it to the market for them and with them as a launch pad. So that's what we do, basically. And I think the MiCA license issued here in Riga, that's a great opportunity for us to expand the business. And obviously, as you know, this one is a new requirement under legislation to meet all these obligations and requirements, and that enables us. It was a long process, but it enables us to go ahead and expand the business out of Latvia.
Yes. If I understand correctly, then it works both ways. So if I want to buy something, I can buy, and I can have a wallet with you, or if, for example, I want to tokenize my own some properties or something like that, I can work with you to sell it.
There's a lot of, yes, okay. So we have a wallet service, correct? So we do have a wallet where we maintain and keep the assets of our clients. We do not, as of today, we are not accepting, and we've never really accepted external traditional cryptocurrencies in our wallets for numerous business reasons. It's mostly a closed ecosystem.
Closed, okay.
Yeah, mostly closed, because there is Ethereum versions of our products as well, which you can go back and forth out of public chains and coming back. I would not bore the audience with the details and the bits and pieces around that, but predominantly it's a closed system. So we have two types of clients basically. One is in these today's terms, they are called offerers. So going with your example, you want to have your own cryptocurrency as a news agency or a media outlet for whatever reason, because you want to increase engagement with your community. You will need someone who will be able to issue your token, and that's us. So we would help you create a structure, what benefits you would have and how it would work. We would make it compliant, and then would assist bring it to the market, to your audience, or whichever new targets or whatever reasons you have.
Yeah.
But there's zillions of business cases and use cases which we see today's market, and we will be communicating very shortly in a couple of days about a new asset we are bringing to the market, and it has a very strong Latvian connection.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
So the first token under MiCA license we are issuing will be very closely to the Latvian.
Yeah. I understand you also moving a legal address here, from Lithuania.
That has taken place already. So from a legal perspective, these are two completely separate entities. As of today, we have an operational business in Lithuania for Blockben, but it was earlier this year when we established a local entity, and that's a requirement, obviously,
of course,
in order to be an applicant and apply for a license. And we have started building the business already. We already hired a handful of local colleagues, and we are in the process of expanding the team locally.
Let's talk a little bit about this license, because of course I understand it's from one side it's a requirement, but from other side it is not a widespread thing yet in the market, and you are one of the pioneers in this. So how it helps, and why you acquired it so fast?
Let me just give you a broader context, and I think for the audience it will give a better prospect what it means. So during the peak times, I mean the number of entities in the European Union that had been doing some type of crypto activities. Back even 3-4 years ago, there might have been up to like 3,000 or 3,500. There's numerous statistics you can look at, but over 3,000 in my view. And once the MiCA legislation got accepted by the European Union, that was in the middle of 2023, it became very obvious that after a certain time, no crypto company will be able to either issue or bring to market tokens within their or do exchange services. There's numerous activities you can do under crypto, but after a certain date, you will not be in a position to continue. And the European Union gave an 18-month, call it a transition period, it's probably easiest, that started from the 1st of January this year. So it varies by member state how long it took them or how long of a transition period they wanted to have. Some of them, the very eager ones, were very conservative. You can decide how you want to look at it. They gave a 6-month transition period, so until the end of June. But the ones that there's some states, the majority of the states will have the transition period over by the end of this year. And some of them, there's a handful which still gives an opportunity for transition until the end of
So the full 18 months,
Yeah, full 18 months, correct, so mid-2026. So basically what happens is during this transition period, you are under certain limitations, you're able to provide your services, but it depends on jurisdiction. For example, I can tell you Hungarian as well, the transition period was over in the middle of the year, so you were unable to onboard new clients based on your old license, but you can do some maintenance with the existing clients. And it varies the interpretation how some of the states do the transition. So answering that part of your question, whether it's a benefit or not, it's a must. It's a must
for
bare
you
minimum
if you want
stay on the
to.
market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we are very, very thankful, and we believe we put a lot of work in. And I think being on the market for over almost 8 years, I think it proves that we've been stable, active on the market, and I think we are a type of participant that should probably be able to continue a business. And in order to do that, you need support from a local, from numerous things, but especially from a regulator as well, which we very well saw and received here in Latvia. And you have to see that 95% of the market who were previously in crypto lost the market. So they have not been able to jump these hurdles. And I believe that especially the smaller ones, or the ones that have not been exposed to financial institution operation. We own an electronic money institution as well, our group. So obviously, I think we were more prepared for such transition than someone who's never done it before. So, and that changes the market. But looking at here in Lithuania, it's the end of December this year. So it will, I think a lot of the states try to prolong it or keep the transition period for a longer period, but I think it will be a very rapid change in the following month, because a lot of companies and jurisdictions will realize that, okay, that's over. So transition is over, what we're going to do. And so 95% of the market participants are out.
Mm-hmm, I understand. So can you describe the process of acquiring this type of license? Because of course there's a certain procedures you need to follow and everything. But for those who are thinking whether to go the similar way or not, what does it take?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of elements. I can share my experience with it. I would not dare to comment on how a regulator would look at the procedure like this from the inside.
Yeah, you don't know it.
I can share my experience. Going through a licensing process is always complex. I don't think there's easy ways. It's always going to be complex and hard. The question is how much contribution and help, so to say, partnership to a level you would get from a regulator walking through this process. So going to the Latvia's Banka, we were introduced to Latvia's Banka by our law firm that we have been working in the Baltics basically since our inception with a lot of other businesses as well. So very reputable law firm, and we were recommended why not we speak with them, because the local environment and the local business associations, fintech, blockchain association, they were very eager to have new companies coming in. So we had I think a very good dialogue with the regulator. We presented our business model and business case, demonstrated our experience, knowledge, what we have under the hood as well in the business, how we run it. And it appears that they like the idea, what we want to do, and why we would be very eager to obtain a MiCA license, enter the process into the obtaining a MiCA license.
Yeah.
And there's a unique thing in Latvia. It's a pre-approval. That's probably the most common name for this phase. It's a pre-approval phase. So you basically put the majority of the documents together that you would need for a MiCA license, and then you enter into a dialogue with the regulator. What is that they don't necessarily agree with, if I may say that, or they would probably do it differently, or they don't completely understand yet, or change, modify, whatever. And that's a dialogue which takes some time. And I understand it varies by client, it varies by potential applicant. And so once you go through this process, then the whole framework and the whole idea is basically start getting more crystallized in the eyes of the regulator. Now, the reason I think it's a very, very good way to do it, because it basically gives some type of limitation and some type of help on the regulatory side as well. Because once you start an application formally, there are certain limitations on both ends, timeframes, RFI processes whatsoever. So this way you can still play around with it. It can take time, but I think it's a good filtering whether the candidate is mature enough to be through these type of processes. On the other hand, you will get a very good informal feedback from the regulator.
Yeah.
Once both parties think that it should forward to a formal application phase, then an application is lodged, and then there's statutory timeframes how it needs to be done. potential RFIs and clarifications can still come up. And usually, my experience, we've done several financial licenses ourselves. They usually come up, always come up, and you respond that. And towards the end of the process, the number of questions decrease. These things start to be sorted out, and then when God is God and board is gracious enough, then you will be in a position to obtain a license.
Yeah. So it takes about like 9 months to a year. For you, it took at least that time of.
We started very early this year, and we were issued the license on the 3rd of December.
December, yeah. All right. So let's talk about the market, because of course you hold this license and you're all legal and everything. So it means that a lot of companies in this crypto sphere, it's basically they will filter out a lot of companies, and probably not very big number of players will be in the market at the beginning. So what benefits will it offer to you as one of the first market players in this era?
I think there's numerous ways to look at it, I think. And the services we provide is pretty niche, like early phase issuance for corporations and companies and communities for whatever reason they have. We've been doing it for several years, and we see there's a very high demand for that. So we've always done something a bit more traditional crypto in a sense, but something a bit different. Looking at how the market is changing, if you look at the MiCA licenses that are issued today, issued by the 90-something. It should be, look at the type of activities what those companies are doing and what type of UBO structures, what type of ownership structure or background they have versus the crypto players, say 6, 7, 8, or even 9 years ago. That's very, very different. So what I think this trend has already started changing the market 4 years ago, at least 3, 4, 5 years ago, because in order to successfully operate a crypto business, and I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about 2 years, 3 years ago, you will need a very strong supporting infrastructure. You will need someone that provides you with payments in and out, bank, EMI, whatever. And regulation were very strict on who can service who and what. And the game started changing there a little bit already, I think. And looking at the numbers today, where 95% of the market is out, as of today, of previous players, I think the market changed in the aspect of whoever was more of a technological element in the whole blockchain and crypto element, they will find it very hard to jump this hurdle. There's a lot of feedback on the MiCA regulation, and I personally think it has given us as well additional obligations. But I think there's a lot of elements. It's a complex legislation, but to make it in layman's terms, I think what it made very clear that cryptocurrency activities are a lot closer to financial services than to technology in the end of the day.
Yeah.
With all the obligations like capital requirements, disclosure statements or white papers or prospectus, how you can enter, how you can communicate about products whatsoever. And whoever has not been in this space on a level like this, I think it would have been a very, very big surprise. More than a haircut, yeah, they would have felt it like skinning, I think, because when you're a technology-focused company and you want to enter these markets as much as you can, and you have to meet these legislations where you are stuck with the idea that it's still technology, it will be hard. And I think whoever stays on the technology end, there's a huge demand for that. But I think the value chain will change. So you will, as you can see, you will need a financial institution, someone with a crypto license issued by a regulator, and then how you establish your chain with technology and other services. That I think that will change a lot. So I think everybody has room in this market. The setup have changed, I think, significantly.
Who should receive a speaker's fee at a conference if a speaker is an AI avatar? It's a reasonable question which our next speakers faced in real world very recently here in Tallinn. Please welcome back our last year's contributor to MedianReport, co-host and author Tarmo Virki, and partner at Founderly, a startup influencer, Vattan PS, who actually faced that challenge.
basically, the idea came from a discussion I had with Vattan a couple of months ago when he had created or his team has created a persona which was speaking at an event in Tallinn, and it was a kind of paid speaking gig, and the persona was paid, and the challenge was, of course, where will the money go? I mean, he or she does not have a bank account. There is no legal entity, which is the persona. So, what will happen? That was the problem. And we were chatting a little bit, and I don't remember how far did we get in that discussion with the idea, but a little bit later, I put it down on the paper that if we have an e-residency, why don't we have an AI residency? And now it was in the drawer for a couple of months waiting for the essay competition, Edukas Eesti, which is probably one of the kind of leading idea competition run in the country, funded or run by Äripäev, the leading business daily, and also backed by a number of the big law offices, for example, who would be probably really, really interesting to, for me to read later. What on earth do they think about the idea? Can it be done, or what should be done in the legal system to actually make it happen? That's basically the background. I've tried to a little bit pitch the idea to a few people I've met. They haven't been that excited because I think over the years, e-residency itself has had a few challenges with public perception, maybe over the years, that maybe it's a way to, during the times of the Danske scandal, I remember myself working at Reuters, and I think at least I remember one headline where we wrote that that the e-residency could be the way for the money laundering, basically cover up.
Yeah.
So I think a kind of Pandora's box with a lot of possible challenges, but at the same time, I think there is a major opportunity out there.
Something is there. Yeah, I can really tell you that. Vattan, can you maybe tell a little bit about this AI persona you created at that event and how it performed and what was the challenge?
Okay, so basically, like the inspiration was very simple for us. We wanted to create this like keynote speaker, which can also have this kind of science that a keynote speaker follows, right? There's a pitch up and down, and then there's emotional connection there, like how you talk to the people and how you emphasize something, right? So there are a lot of nuances when you deliver a keynote, like a TED style talk. So and sometime because we also organize events here, which is more for AI community, and usually in there you can call it micro conference because we attract around 150 to 200 people in every event. So one of the biggest challenges we always had was lack of talent and speakers on the domains, right? So for example, let's say we want to invite someone for AI in finance. And there's not so much going on when it comes to AI in finance. Yesterday, we had an event, AI in healthcare, right? One idea, we also featured their WHO head of AI, right? But, if you really want to talk, invite a speaker who's like really playing in the game and can deliver like some sort of summary of what's happening in the market, it was always a challenge. So we thought, okay, let's do it. And then we were thinking of what to call it. And then we came across this name. A friend suggested this name, Lydia Koidula, which is Estonia's beloved poet back in history. So we that's perfect. Let's call her. And then now another question was like how to create her persona, like this avatar. And that was another challenge, by the way, because there are not so many pictures of Lydia that you can use, or videos of Lydia that you can use. So we found few, and then we found a lot of history about her, and created this 3D graphic of her with text prompting. And then we turned it into a graphic. So this is how we created, and she delivered already three keynotes by now. So first keynote she delivered was at the Vice HQ about AI in finance, and this event was attended by a lot of CEOs of banks. And one of the person actually, who's also like a big person right now in Estonia, I will not name him, But he also had a meeting with me and was very interested in Lydia. And then I asked him, and he's from banking sector, can we have an account for Lydia? Because I feel like there is an opportunity here, and it's coming very, very fast. Because, just to tell you a bit actually about what's happening in this space overall, there has been a lot of development recently when it comes to agentic payments. And agentic payments, like MasterCard, Visa, and even Stripe recently jumped into it, which allows agents to make payments on behalf of you, right? And the second thing is like, can agents also have their identity? Because Estonia is also playing deeply right now when it comes to e-governance. And e-governance, like all data flows from one point to another, right? And for example, like if somebody wants to renew their driving license, can agent do it for you? But in order for agent to do it, agent should have some sort of power on behalf of you or having its own power. So this is where it becomes complicated, and I didn't know that Tarmo would come up with this kind of big vision, like residency for AI. I didn't go that far, but
Yeah.
I was really thinking that yes, we should enable some sort of identity to these people, because the second gig that Lydia got was from Technopol. It is also like a you can search about it and you will find some media articles.
Yeah.
So she got paid actually for 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, she got paid, but where the money goes? And then I also had a chat with Tarmo. Tarmo, okay, so what we should do? I mean, then money goes to the father, right?
Yeah.
If your daughter doesn't have a bank account.
Or a real Lydia Koidula's relatives, I would say,
I mean,
a foundation
by the
or
way,
something.
I can also find that actually. Tarmo told me about someone which we haven't contacted yet. So yeah, this was like an example, and we wanted to kind of go deeper, taking this as an inspiration
Yeah.
and creating this kind of persona or AI identities where it can make more sense, like in healthcare, in the policy or border control, where
May,
these things can have
yeah.
more impact.
Maybe this is just an idea that was born when I was listening to your talking. So I was thinking to where this money goes, and I think if you can add something like of a charity type of thing, or maybe it's really an IP. Or if you're using, for example, in this case, very famous poets Koidula's name, it means that probably there is some kind of intellectual property or something involved. At some point, maybe their relatives will contact you. But anyway, this could be a something that is for bigger cause, not for like a person particular to use or something like that, but for, let's say, something that she or he represents. Tarmo, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, the Society of Estonian Literature would be like a
Exactly.
natural fit for a project like this, because I mean, so far Lydia Koidula is not really an enterprise.
Exactly.
It's more like a quirky trial of something. But at the same time, taking into notice how fast the technology develops, I wouldn't be surprised if we would be, seeing pop up in addition to Lydia Koidula, Jan Krossis, and all the
Exactly.
other kind of key famous wordsmiths of this country.
Yeah. So what do you think, Vattan, about this?
I mean, like that's the thing with IP. Actually, IP is very complicated. Never, that's the thing. Never ask man about their income. Same thing goes for AI. Never ask for IP, right? Because it's a question nobody wants to answer, right?
Of course.
Like where OpenAI got data from, no comments, right? So I think it's very, because the thing is like how do you frame it, and how much you have used assets of Lydia to create. Does it look like Lydia, and do we call it Lydia Koidula? Like there are so many nuances there. But at the same time, I feel like, the point of this as an experiment to set the kind of horizontal layer that can enable more experiments. So, for example, voice can be used because he can speak in Estonian. So, voice can be used for other departments. Second thing is like this kind of persona. Like we don't have this 3D avatars yet, right? Or humanoids. that can take the stage and join the panel discussion. Because we haven't tried that yet. I was thinking and discussing it with Tarmo. Can she come and join one of the interviews where she can answer you in real time about AI in Estonia? And I think this could be like another channel. Second, she can be also utilized as like a teacher to inspire people or students or professors. She can also represent Estonia in global summits. So these kind of use cases are like kind of simplistic, but bring a lot of value. And also another thing I feel like she can be also like, we are going to see this very, very soon, that people will have this AI avatars representing them in conferences. Because one problem we also see in the startup sector, that founders don't know how to tell their story. Researchers don't know how to tell their story. And most of the time they don't get funded, they don't get support because they just don't know how to communicate. So I think in this kind of games, and I remember during Latitude 59, one founder approached me. Oh, I loved Lydia. I think I'm going to ask her out and just kind of comment. And like, okay, but why do you want that? I don't know. I need to convince her to pitch for me because I'm very bad at this. So maybe if she can pitch for me, I think I will get funding. So this kind of ideas are popping up, and this is how it happened with this person actually from Technopol. So he was like, how's Lydia doing? I mean, why are you asking me? It's like, no, I think like you're like a father figure, and like I should ask you actually how's she doing. So what's in your mind? Maybe she's ready. Maybe we can invite her to our event as well. And this is how it built up actually. I mean, like, okay, but one condition: can you pay her? Because I think it's gonna be newsworthy if you do pay her. And she's like, yeah, we can. So this is how it happened. And so, I mean, it was one experiment, and of course, it can be done more. But the thing is, like right now, when it comes to AI and sound technology, it's not that perfect yet. So it needs its own development because most of the focus is going towards text generation in LLMs. Even though you have a lot of TTS, text to speech models, but they don't provide you this kind of control mechanism.
I
So
understand.
like they can laugh, they can cry, but you cannot make their pitch up and down, and there
And
are
I
so many
think
challenges there.
also that there will be this borderline where those AI agents that are very sophisticated will be invited to conferences and global forums, and those who are not ready yet, they will be like in so you need to train your there, because there will be this global competition about how sophisticated this persona probably is and how representative of that such organization or industry or so, how well it represents. So in that case, if Estonia can do some leading work there, I think it's not only a global PR, it is really a global business and billions of dollars of business, Tarmo.
I will bring one
Yeah.
example here real quick.
Yeah.
So, like in Dubai, recently they have adopted AI as a policy advisor, right? And it's official now. So, and this AI is going to comment on every policy they're adopting. And so it's like, this is what we also have thought about. Can this agent or AI, or if this person has a residency, because that's where the challenge is right now. So Tarmo has raised very big concern, because let's say if Lydia wants to join supervisory board, or board of different startups and want to provide some input on a monthly basis, what gonna be monthly retainer, and who can claim it? And so I mean, like it could, yeah, and that's another thing actually. Like I'm not saying like we are gonna have the sci-fi moment very, very soon that agents are gonna rule over us, but at the same time, it's an opportunity, and so how to better leverage this opportunity in a way that maybe like there you want some special people to be in your board, right? But they don't have enough time. Can this kind of system replace them with having this kind of authority that they can vote for them,
Yeah, of course.
they can represent them? So I think this is kind of opportunity lies here.
So for the literature startup, they could have Jaan Kross and Lydia Koidula sitting in the board alongside with Sten Tamkivi and Taavet Hinrikus, for example. And none of the four would actually attend the meetings.
Yeah. But what I think is if you want to avoid the all the money laundering possibilities, we really need to think of attaching this to some organizations with a greater cause. Because if, for example, if I want to create my own avatar and put it on the board or supervisory board of some startup, then in this case, for example, the money goes to Startup Estonia or some kind of organization who develops, just to avoid this connection with me as a person or as a creator or a real person. So that can actually, I think, can be put in the law as well. So not to be too confused, because
But then, of
this
course,
is
you would be setting up an NGO in the name of yourself, and that NGO would get that payment instead of you, at least, knowing how the typical business mind of old world works, right?
Yeah, I understand that, but it can also go as like in that case, if you say that it doesn't really reach me, the money, because I donate it to something else, someone else who is the beneficiary. In that case, I'm
yes.
not the beneficiary. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be with a selected list like they have today for the tax exemptions or something like that.
Yeah. Well,
so just a quick comment here. I think that's where the challenge is, because it's not about one agent or two agents, because they can be managed by some agency or some NGO. But we are thinking of, like, let's say 100,000 agents, right, doing different tasks. And can they be on payroll? Can people hire them? Because I also had a chat with Tarmo about this journalist AI, right, who can be employed by different media companies and do great work, actually high quality work under Tarmo supervision, right? But the question here is, like, can this agent be paid? And let's say if this agent is deployed by 100 media publications around the world, right? So one thing is, like, you can build a company and own these 100 IP or assets, and the revenue goes to your organization. But then you are kind of taking this autonomy away from them. So I think we have to provide this autonomy as well, and that's the whole kind of philosophy around this concept called agentic payments, right? So agents can make payments on behalf of you. Let's say you say that, hey, I'm looking for this product. Please find research, and like it's going to do research and going to select some products for you. You're going to order from Amazon and pay in real time, right? And gets delivered to your home. So the same thing goes for also agentic system or agents. Like, if they will not have this kind of decision or autonomy to make decision on behalf of you, then it will never be able to do work for the human.
This was just a part of our conversation. The whole interview you can watch on YouTube. When you, of course, are there, please subscribe to the channel and press like to this episode if you found it insightful. I will appreciate it, of course, a lot. I see you again in 2 weeks. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone.